Today, August 20th, 2025, the headlines across Iraq's markets all point to one thing. The US dollar is once again climbing against the Iraqi dinar. For months, the central bank has been working hard to stabilize the currency, but today we're seeing pressure mount. As the street price of the dollar rises well above the official exchange rate, the question on everyone's mind: why is this happening now, and what does it really mean for Iraq's economy, for traders, and for ordinary citizens trying to stretch their monthly salaries? To understand today's surge in the dollar, we have to step back and look at the forces driving the market. The official rate remains at about 1,300 dinars per dollar, set by the central bank. But on the ground, in Baghdad, in Basra, in Mosul, in Erbil, the street rate tells a different story. Reports today put the dollar between 1,425 and 1,435 dinars, widening the gap yet again. That gap exists because supply and demand in the local market don't always match official policy. So why is demand for the dollar surging today? First, importers and traders are stocking up on foreign currency. With the dinar under pressure, many businesses prefer to hold dollars to secure goods from abroad: food, electronics, building materials, even medical supplies. And when everyone rushes toward the dollar at once, its price naturally rises. Second, geopolitical pressures are weighing in. Tensions in the region, restrictions on cross-border transfers, and tighter compliance with U.S. financial oversight have limited how many dollars flow into Iraq. Whenever the supply of dollars slows down, even temporarily, the street price reacts immediately. And that's exactly what we're seeing today: a tighter pipeline of dollars coming into the market. Third, domestic politics plays a role. Delays in government payments, uncertainty around oil revenue transfers, and disagreements between Baghdad and regional administrations all contribute to instability. When salaries are delayed or contracts are postponed, people and businesses grow anxious, moving their savings into what they believe is a safer currency: the dollar. That fear-driven demand is fueling today's spike. But what does this mean for you, the ordinary citizen? The immediate impact is simple: prices rise. Imported goods, everything from flour and rice to cars and electronics, become more expensive. Even basic necessities like medicine or fuel that rely on global markets can suddenly feel out of reach. Your salary, if paid in dinars, doesn't stretch as far. A family that budgeted for 1 million dinars in monthly expenses may suddenly find themselves short because the dollar rate has jumped. Now let's talk about the central bank's role. Officials in Baghdad have repeatedly pledged to defend the dinar, using tools like dollar auctions, regulatory crackdowns, and now, supply cuts of local currency. But every time the street rate drifts too far from the official rate, confidence weakens. And currency markets run on confidence. If people don't trust that tomorrow's dinar will hold the same value as today's, they shift into dollars, creating the very surge we're witnessing. Some observers argue that this is all temporary, that oil revenues are strong, reserves remain high, and that the central bank has enough resources to pull the dinar back in line. Others, however, warn that these repeated spikes show a deeper problem: Iraq's heavy dependence on the dollar for trade and the lack of a fully independent financial system. As long as businesses, citizens, and even government contracts rely on dollars, the dinar remains vulnerable to external shocks. Now, let's step into the speculative zone. Could today's surge be connected to whispers of a future revaluation? Some in the financial community believe that by allowing the dinar to weaken on the street, the central bank creates space for a dramatic policy announcement later, perhaps a redenomination or a long-anticipated RV. While that remains speculative, the fact is that supply cuts, regulatory shifts, and dollar pressure often precede major currency decisions. But speculation aside, what happens next? In the short term, the central bank may respond by releasing more dollars into the market, trying to close the gap. You may see announcements about tighter controls or new measures to track dollar transfers. If those succeed, the dinar could stabilize in the coming weeks. If not, we may see the gap widen further, pushing more families and businesses into crisis mode. For citizens, the practical question is, how do you protect your wallet in this environment? The answer depends on your situation. For savers, diversifying between dinars and dollars may help. For small business owners, careful planning around imports and stockpiles is essential. And for families, budgeting tightly and preparing for price swings may be the only realistic defense. But the truth is this: today's surge in the dollar is not just about numbers on an exchange board. It's about the daily struggle of Iraqi households. When the price of bread rises, when fuel costs increase, when medicine becomes harder to buy, the ripple effect is deeply personal. And that's why every move in the exchange rate matters. In the bigger picture, today's rise shows us once again that Iraq's journey toward a strong, independent currency is not over. Every fluctuation reminds policymakers of the urgent need for reforms, diversifying the economy beyond oil, strengthening financial systems, and building confidence in the dinar. Until that happens, the tug-of-war between the dollar and the dinar will continue, with ordinary people caught in the middle. So, on August 20th, 2025, as the dollar rises against the dinar once more, the message is clear: Iraq's financial future is still in flux. The central bank can intervene, traders can adjust, citizens can adapt. But the real solution lies in building a system where the dinar can finally stand on its own. Until then, each rise of the dollar is more than a statistic. It's a reminder of the work that remains to be done. As we look beyond today's surge, the bigger question is, what happens next? Will the dollar keep rising against the dinar? Or will the central bank take control and bring stability back to the market? The answer lies in three possible scenarios that could play out over the rest of 2025. Scenario 1. The central bank acts aggressively. If officials release more dollars into the market, enforce stricter rules on transfers, and tighten currency auctions, they might succeed in narrowing the gap between the official rate and the street rate. In this best-case scenario, the dinar could stabilize in the coming weeks, restoring some confidence for traders and families. But this solution is temporary. It treats the symptoms, not the root causes. Scenario 2. The gap keeps widening. If dollar inflows remain restricted and demand continues to rise, the street price could climb well past today's levels. That would mean more inflation, higher food and fuel costs, and greater pressure on Iraqi households. In this case, we may see public frustration rise, and calls for deeper reforms grow louder. The danger here is not just economic but social, because when the value of money becomes unstable, trust in institutions weakens too. And Scenario 3. The system prepares for something bigger. Some analysts believe that these fluctuations are setting the stage for a larger shift, whether a revaluation, a redenomination, or a long-term plan to unshackle Iraq's economy from the dollar. While no official word confirms this, the central bank's recent moves, cutting money supply, tightening banking rules, and adjusting auctions, suggest a strategy that looks beyond the short term. If that's true, then today's dollar rise could be the storm before the calm. For the average citizen, these scenarios are not just theory, they're reality in daily life. A bag of flour that cost 30,000 dinars yesterday may cost 33,000 tomorrow. Fuel for your car, medicine for your children, rent for your home, all become harder to manage when the dollar climbs. That's why preparing yourself is key. First, protect your savings. Diversify when you can. Don't hold everything in dinars, but also don't panic and rush fully into dollars. Balance is your shield against volatility. Second, cut unnecessary spending. In times of currency turbulence, every dinar counts. And third, stay informed. Rumors spread fast in Iraq's markets, but only verified news can guide real decisions. But let's not forget the bigger picture. Iraq is not a poor country. It has vast oil reserves, strong revenues, and untapped potential. The weakness of the dinar is not a reflection of the nation's resources, but of structural challenges: dependency on imports, reliance on the dollar, and a fragile banking system. Fix those, and the dinar can recover its strength. Leave them unresolved, and the dollar will continue to dominate. So, what does today's surge mean for Iraq's future? It means the journey toward stability is not over. It means that every household, every trader, every citizen will continue to feel the push and pull of a currency caught between global markets and local realities. And it means that until Iraq builds a financial system strong enough to stand on its own, the dollar will keep reminding the nation of the work still to be done. On August 20th, 2025, The dollar is rising against the dinar once again. Tomorrow, the rate may shift up or down, but the real story is the long game. Can Iraq transform this moment of pressure into an opportunity for reform? Can policymakers turn short-term struggles into long-term strength? Only time will tell. For now, what matters most is this: protect your wallet, prepare for volatility, and remember that every change in the exchange rate is not just about money. It's about the future of Iraq's economy and the future of every family who depends on it.